Yeah. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jana Salakaya Chakshurun Melitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Sri Gura Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Stuti Devi Pranamami Haripe Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome back to our regular class. So in the previous class, we have discussed that how Krishna explained to Arjuna about the Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness activities. So Buddhi Yoga means the combination between karma and jnana. So when one works with knowledge, working with knowledge means we detach from the result of the activities. So that is called Niskama Karma Yoga, or as Srila Prabhupada sometimes refers to Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. So now in today's class, we will see that Arjuna, he asked Lord Krishna, what are the symptoms of those who are situated in the transcendental platform or Sthita Pragya? So that we will be discussing. And we try to cover till text number 63, yeah, from 54 to 63 of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So Sthita Pragya, becoming fixed in transcendental consciousness. So these are some gists of our today's discussion. After hearing Krishna's description of Buddhi Yoga, Arjuna asked how to recognize a transcendentalist. Krishna describes how a transcendentalist gives up all material desires, is equipoised and detached, yet continues to act according to prescribed duties. Krishna advises Arjuna to control his senses by following the regulative principles. By so doing, he will attain the mercy of the Lord and be happy. All right. So text number 54. Arjuna uvacha stita pragyasya ka bhasa samadhi stasya keshava stita de kim prabhaseta kim asita vrajeta kim. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So it seems that from these questions that are asked by Arjuna, if we see in a glance, actually that is very external, right? How he walks, how he sits. But our Acharya, like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he reveals what are actually the internal meanings of these questions. So we will see that. So the first one, when Arjuna asks, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? That means, how is one who is transcendentally situated or Sthita Pragya described? What are his characteristics? So when we ask about symptoms, that's referring to the characteristic. So this will be answered in the next verse by Lord Krishna. And then the second one is that how does he speak? So that refers to how are his intelligence and words affected by another's affection, anger, or neutrality? In other words, how does he respond? Krishna will answer to this question in the text 56 and 57. And then the third one, okay, how does he sit? How does he sit? So in a glance, we may understand how a transcendentalist sit, whether he sits straight. Srila Prabhupada used to say sit properly. So how does he sit refers to how does he not engage his senses? What is his mentality when his senses are restrained from their objects? So how does he sit means how he control his senses. And then the last one is that how does he walk? How does he walk refers to how does a man in transcendence engage his senses. So how he engage his senses. These are the internal meaning given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Stita Pragya, this word Stita Pragya in this verse is very significant. So Stita Pragya means one who is transcendentally situated. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks, for speech is most important quality of man. Yes, Vishnu Chitta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu,
Yes.
can you please show the previous slide? I was just taking notes, or are those things available in the Surrender Unto Me book?
Yeah, this is available in Surrender Unto Me.
Oh, I see.
Or later after the class, as usual, I can share the PowerPoint
All right.
presentation, so you
Okay.
can take the note over there. So that's
Okay.
easier. So I recommend you that you just focusing on the class. Well, you can make a note, but if it is too much, so better just wait. I can share the same PowerPoint presentation. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So speech is very, very important. Yeah. Speech. This is the characteristic of the devotees, actually. The devotees cannot live without Krishna Katha. Yeah. We love to talk about Krishna, and also we love to hear about Krishna. So here in the purport, actually, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, it is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. So people can dress nicely, but we can recognize how is his character from observing like what are the words that coming out from his mouth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni mentioned Nayad Vachas Chitra Padam Harirya. So Jagat Pavitram Pragrinitakarichit Tadvayasam Tirtham Ushanti Manasa Nayatra Hamsani Ramanti Siksayaha. So this is from the first canto, chapter 5, text number 10. So Nayad Vachas Chitra Padam Harir Yasu. So that words which are not describing the glories, the yasa means the glories of Lord Hari. Nayad Vachas Chitra Padam Harir Yasu. Jagat Pavitram Pragrinitakariche. And actually the words glorifying Lord Hari is purifying for the whole world, for the whole universe. Jagat Pavitram. Tadvayasam tirtam ushanti manasa. Tadvayasam means the place of pilgrimage for the cross. So that word, which is not describing, which is not glorifying Lord Krishna, is considered to be garbage. This is the place where the cross used to assemble in the garbage. Tadvayasam tirtam ushanti manasa na yatra hamsa niramanti siksaya. And those who are the Paramahamsa, the great souls, just like the swan, they don't derive to be in the they don't derive pleasure to be in the garbage. So similarly, for the devotees, we don't like to talk any topic which is not concerning Krishna consciousness, Krishna Katha. This is actually the symptom of a devotee, that he always glorify Krishna. So we see here the materialists, they have a lot of topics of discussion. This also describes Sruta Vyadini Rajendra Ninam Santi Sahasrasa Apashyatam Atmatatam Griheshu Grihamedinam. So Sruta Vyadini Rajendra Ninam Santi Sahasrasa. Sahasra means a lot, a lot of topic of discussion, mundane things such as women, money, wealth, food, politics, and so on. Grihesu Grihamedinam. It is described that Griha Medi means envious. So the envious people, the envious householders. Envious means actually Grihamedi refers to the non-devotees. Yeah, they are called Grihamedi because they are envious. They're not engaging themselves in Krishna consciousness. But in contrary, compared to the devotees like we see here, these pictures, Kadev Goswami and Pariksit Maharaj, for 7 days, 7 nights, they have discussion without any stoppage about Krishna, Krishna's pastime, how Krishna steals butter, kills Kaliya, not killing Kaliya, defeats Kaliya, Ramayan. So these are the symptoms of the devotees, always absorbed in Krishna Katha. Okay, text number 55. So what are the characteristics of those who are Stita Pragya? So Krishna gives the answer here. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanevat mana tushta sita pragyas tadochate. The Supreme Personality of God has said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada elaborates about the devotees and the non-devotees. Prabhupada comparing that the devotees automatically develop good qualities, the non-devotees don't have good qualities. So actually he's quoting the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 5 canto, 5th canto, chapter 18, text 12. Yes, yasti bhaktir Bhagavat Yakinchana Sarvair Gunais Tatra Samasti Suraha. So Sarvair Gunais Tatra Samasti Suraha. The devotees who are engaged in Krishna service, they automatically derive good qualities. Harawa Bhaktasya. So the Abhakta, the non-devotees, Kuto Mahad Guna. What is there any good quality belong to them? They don't have any good quality. So this is actually the statement of Prahlad Maharaj. Then, but sometimes we find also the non-devotees, they have good qualities, like they are so friendly, they are patient in dealing to others. Then how do we understand this? How do we understand this? Any comments on that? Because it looks like we are judging too much, oh, the non-devotees, they don't have good quality at all. So any thought on that? Because sometimes we see the devotees, they have bad qualities, and the non-devotees, they have good quality. How to reconcile this? Any comments, any thought about this? Okay, you're silent. I consider as no comment. Well, the answer is actually in the last line of the verse. Manoratena satidavato bahihi. So the non-devotees, manoratena satidavato bahihi, whatever their thought, their uh, opinion is actually carried away, manoratena, by the chariot of their mind. by the chariot of mental speculation. So in this way, actually, they don't have any good quality, because after all, simply being a moralist or simply becoming a good person is actually not enough to liberate one from the entanglement of material world. That's the point. So what is the point of being, friendly, being nice, but you are not Krishna conscious? But sometimes we see also the devotees, they have like seemingly bad qualities, like very easy to be angry, for example, or having some still kind of envious, I would say jealousy, I would say like that. But gradually the devotees will get purification as they engage in devotional service. So there is hope for the devotees to change their heart, becoming a good person, to develop good qualities, and ultimately liberate themselves from the entanglement of material world. So that's the point. Simply becoming a moralist is not enough to free us from the entanglement of the material world. Manoratena, because whatever activities that the non-devotees perform, actually those activities simply based on their mental concoction, manoratena, the chariot of their mind. But it doesn't mean that we are have to become judgmental that the devotees are so bad. Sorry, the non-devotees are bad, this and that. Well, we have to use our God-given intelligence according to time, place, circumstances, especially when we are in the position of a preacher. So we have to deal with others, especially the non-devotees, in such a way by which we can attract them to Krishna consciousness. So sometimes by defeating them using arguments, philosophy, uh, they don't want to come to Krishna consciousness, because I have seen this when I was in Cambodia. So there was one devotee. He tried to, preach, but the method that he is using is that to defeat their, because in Cambodia most of them are Buddhists. So like 90% the populations are Buddhists. So this devotee, he goes from one person to another person, and he tried to talk, having some conversation, and tried to defeat their Buddhist philosophy. But the result is that it doesn't make them come to Krishna consciousness. Rather, they hate us because we find fault on them. But I told him that, Prabhu, this is actually a wrong method, wrong way how to preach. Of course, our philosophy is the topmost, but when you present ourselves like this, when you present the devotees like this to the non-devotees, they just hate us. We will become the object of their hatred. But and then I try just to invite them to have some prasadam, to have some kirtan, and they like to come to us. We talk nicely. Not necessarily that we bang them immediately with heavy philosophy that what you are doing nonsense like this. Sometimes that may work, but most of the time, uh, because people are not very receptive, so people are not ready. So we have to use our God-given intelligence in preaching. This verse actually very sensitive, and it is recommended that should not quote this verse in public where there are non-devotees, because they may get irritated. This yes, yasti bhakti Bhagavad kinchana. In a purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, artificially such sense desire cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without external effort. So for devotees, because actually the chanting is the Chetodarpana process, that chanting is very powerful, it cleanses our heart. So we don't have actually external effort, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, to control our senses, taking prasadam and taking prasadam, chanting the holy name, hear Krishna Katha, engage in some service, some services, little services, but on a regular basis. That's actually enough um, to make us to be a self-control. But in contrary, like the yogis, they try to control their senses by hard means, by performing severe tapasya. So this is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. The first principle or the first symptom of a self-realized soul is that he does not make any plan for his propensity, because we are always busy in making plans. Now after this we shall do this, after this we shall do this. But one who is self-realized, he has no plan, because he has dovetailed himself with the supreme consciousness. So for himself he has nothing to do. He simply depends. He simply depends on the supreme consciousness. Mhm. So this is called Rasisyatiti Viswa, so one of the 6 symptoms of surrendering described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we depend on Krishna. We avoid prayasa. So how does this apply for the grihastas? Because most of the devotees in our movement are grihastas. When we say we don't make plan for our prosperity, then it seems that we are too renounced and becoming neglectful. But actually, between renunciation and neglectful, they are having like a big difference. So renunciation means when we engage everything in Krishna's service, and negligent means when we think that we don't need this, because after all, I have nothing to do here, and then we become neglectful of whatever our possession, such as wife, house. So that's wrong actually. So here, Srila Prabhupada, of course, he mentioned that busy making plans. That means even though we are situated in the Grihastha ashram, so our dependence should not be decreased to Krishna. Our dependence to Krishna should not be reduced. Should not be reduced. So we have to have a full conviction, confidence that Krishna will always take care of us, and it doesn't mean that we should not do anything for our maintenance, but we just do as much as we require. We don't have to work as just like the ash, just like donkey working so hard. So we try to avoid prayasa. Prayasa means over endeavor to accumulate unnecessary wealth. Sometimes we find this also among the devotees, and that's actually a sad side. Yeah. So the next verse, text number 56, this is the second answer from Krishna. This is the answer for the second question that Arjuna asked. Duke swanudvigna manasuke suvigata spriha vitaragha vaya krodas titadir munir uchyate. Translation: one who is not disturbed in the mind, one who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. Stitadir munir uchyati. So, yeah, how a devotee should react toward miseries that come to his life. So the answer given here by Srila Prabhupada. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds, and he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to the lowest. So actually, Srila Prabhupada referring to the prayers of Lord Brahma. There's a prayer of Lord Brahma in the 10th canto, chapter 14, text number 8. It is very beautiful. Tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evat makritam vipakam haridwag vapur bir vidadan namaste jivet ayo mukti pade sadayava. So Srila Prabhupada, actually Srila Prabhupada last commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is up to the 13th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But this verse is quoted by Srila Prabhupada many times, and Srila Prabhupada in one place he mentioned that we have to wear Srila Prabhupada mentioned just like we are wearing necklace on our neck, all the time attach this necklace, this kantimala with our neck. So similarly, this verse should be always attached in our tongue. That means uh, try to recite this verse daily on a daily basis because it's very beautiful verse and very instructive that it gives us actually quick realization about what's going on in the material world. Sometimes the devotees are complaining, why after such and such years I'm chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, still I get a lot of trouble in life. Well, come back to this prayer again, Tate Nukampam Susamiksamano, that Bunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam. This is our mentality. Bunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam. It's just due to my past misdeed, misbehavior that we commit in the previous life. Bunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam. Hridwag Vapur Bir Vidadan Namaste. So with our Hrid, our mind, our heart, Hridwag, our word Vapu, with our body, Vidadan Namaste. Just keep offering obeisances to the Lord. Keep engaged in Krishna's service. Jiveta yo mukti pade sadhayava. For such a determined devotee, Lord Brahma said that liberation becoming his rightful claim. So if you want to become liberated from the material world, material entanglement, so no matter what, never give up Krishna consciousness. That's the essence of this verse. Okay. In the text 57, translation, in the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. In the purpose, Prabhupada mentioned, as long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil because this world is full of duality. Okay, if we remember the in the text 14, chapter 2, text 14, matras parsas to countriya sitosna sukha dukada, sito and usna, just like the winter and summer, and winter. So this is called duality: summer, winter, heat, cold, black, white, sweet, bitter, happiness, distress. This is duality. So this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in perfect transcendental position called technically samadhi. So for us, this is samadhi. Sometimes, of course, we make joke when the devotees fall asleep in a class, for example. We call that samadhi. But samadhi means full absorption. That is called samadhi. Madasraya katam rishta srinvanti katayanti cha tapanti vividastapa naitan madgata chetasaha. This is from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 25th chapter, text number 23. Madasraya katam rishta srinvanti katayanti cha. So when a devotee is absorbed in hearing and chanting, Srinvanti Kathayanti cha Tapanti Vividas Tapa, even though miseries come into his life, Tapanti Vividas Tapa, Naitan Madgata Chetasaha. So such miseries will not affect him. Of course, we cannot avoid miseries in this material world because it is the place of miseries. We cannot avoid. Doesn't mean that once we join Krishna consciousness movement, immediately we are free from miseries. Well, not at all, because miseries will always come due to our past misdeed. But the sign here is that the art, the art that we have to learn is that we can uh, avoid it. We can avoid means that we try to uh, not being affected. We are not being affected by miseries that comes to our life. Miseries will come anyway, but we will not be affected by such a miseries. That's the understanding. Tapanti vividastapa naitan madgata chetasaha. Because we are absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So the moment that we not properly engage in Krishna consciousness, then we start complaining this and that. This is happened in our lives as the devotees. When we not properly engage in Krishna service, when miseries come to life, then we start blaming whether others or even Krishna. This is called gambling, actually. This is speculation. The basis uh, of gambling is that speculation. So whatever miseries come to our life is just due to me, due to my past mistake. That's it. So the moment that we blame others because of this person, this guy, that guy, that means speculation. That means we are gambling. Mm. So in the previous verse, in text number 15, second chapter, text number 15, Krishna mentioned, Yam hina vyatayantiete purusham purushar sama dukha sukham dira somritatvaya kalpate. So sama dukha sukham dira. Those who are sober will see sama dukha, that distress and happiness, sama dukha sukham. So distress and happiness, they will see in the equal vision. Sama dukha sukham dhiram. So amrita tvaya kalpate. For such a person is actually eligible for liberation from this material world. So Krishna mentioned that in the 15th verse of this chapter. Okay, this is the answer of Lord Krishna of Arjuna's third question, controlling the senses. How does he see? That was Arjuna's question. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvasaha indriyanindriyatevyas tasya pragya pratistita. Very beautiful verse. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense object, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the cell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada gave the analogy in his purport. The senses are compared to venomous serpents, and the devotee to a snake charmer. A devotee should be strong like a snake charmer in controlling his plant-like senses. He should not allow his senses to act independently. So the senses should be controlling the senses doesn't mean that we have to restrain our senses to become inertia, as Srila Prabhupada used this word. Inertia means not doing anything. We are inert, we are inactive, but the nature of the senses is, always active. Therefore, we cannot actually controlling the senses by restraining it from doing some activities. But the best way is that just engage in Krishna service. Rupa Goswami mentioned, what is that? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam risikena risikesam sevanam bhakti ruchyate. It's very famous verse. Yeah. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam Risikena Risikesa. So when we engage our senses to serve the master of the senses, Risikena Risikesa, Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. That is called devotional service. That is called Seva. Sevanam Bhaktir. That is devotional service. So devotional service means when we engage our senses in Krishna's service, to please Krishna's senses. And in this verse, it is mentioned there are two effects when we engage our senses in Krishna's service. The first one is that Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. So Upadi means designation. For example, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Indonesian, I'm Grihastha, I'm Brahmachari. So this is called designation. Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam. So this false designation, or let's say it is called false ego. This is false ego. This our false ego, false designation will be immediately uh, destroyed when we engage our senses in Krishna's service. We get purification. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparat vena nirmalam. And the second effect of engaging ourselves in Krishna's service is that tatparat vena nirmalam. The senses becomes purified. The eyes becomes purified. The tongue becomes purified. So like this. Yeah, like tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up his senses and exhibit them again at any time for a particular purpose. Similarly, the senses of a Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. So if we don't use our senses in Krishna consciousness, so better, keep it. But it's hard, it's hard to just restrain the senses from doing some activities. So the best way is just to engage in Krishna service. That's it. Text number 59. Visaya vinivartante nirahara shadehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drištva nivartate. So param drištva nivartate means experiencing the higher taste. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentioned, when one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So just like the comparison, one devotee, long time ago, he gave an example. I still remember that. So he mentioned that just like now we are very much addicted to the sweetness of sugar. But sugar, white sugar, is not so good for health. But once we get the taste of honey, honey is sweet, the taste is good, and also it's very healthy. So material enjoyment is compared just like white sugar. It's nice, but it creates disease. We will get diabetes. And enjoyment in Krishna consciousness is compared just like honey. It's nice, it's sweet, and nourishes the body. The body becomes healthy. So when we get the taste of the sweetness of the honey, then it is natural for us to give up the white sugar, which is actually not very healthy. So anybody would like to share your experience? You can reflect to a time before you come to Krishna consciousness and after you come to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we have some kind of attachment to some particular things, some bad habit maybe, and after coming to Krishna consciousness, we transform. So we change actually. Anybody would like to share? Because experience is actually a good teacher. Good teacher. When you share your experience to others, that's also giving uh, some kind of uh, inspiration, some inspiration to others. Okay, so Vishnu Chitta Prabhu mentioned, my hands are a bit tied now, Prabhu. I will share at the end of the class. Okay, we are waiting for that. Yeah. For example, like eating meat, for example, that's an obvious example. This is experienced by many people actually, eating meat. So now, for example, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we love to eat uh, onion and garlic. We love to eat onion and garlic, but now smelling onion and garlic is, it's so stinking, and we we want to vomit. Yeah, just smelling it. We want to vomit just to smell onion and garlic. But before becoming devotee, oh, we love that so much. That's one example. Okay, text number 60. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he gave the example of two different personalities. One is Vishwamitra Muni and one is Ambarish Maharaj. So Vishwamitra Muni, he's a great yogi. He's performing tapasya for many years. But as soon as Menaka comes, simply by hearing her ankle bell, Vishwamitra Muni, he got agitated in his mind, and finally he fell down. He enjoyed sexual affairs with Menaka. But here Ambarish Maharaj is undisturbed amidst a big trouble. Actually, he's almost killed by the demon created by Durvasa Muni. But for the devotees, his senses are completely under his control. So this is from the surrender unto me. Krishna is telling Arjuna, do not give up work. Do not become a jnani, a man who simply discriminates between matter and spirit. Perform your duty in Buddha Yoga. Krishna is showing Arjuna the defect of jnana in order to propose the superiority of bhakti. Well, yes, the understanding here is that jnana or knowledge is also very supportive in our Krishna consciousness life, but simply to become jnani. Jnani here refers to one one who is speculating. Of course, for us, Gyan means spiritual knowledge for us, for those who are practicing Krishna consciousness. But for the non-devotees, the conclusion of their Vedic study is impersonalis. So unless one becomes a devotee or performing Krishna consciousness activities, so his mind, especially his mind, cannot be easily controlled. So text number 61, Yukta Sitamat Para. Yukta. So this is word per word translation. Yukta means engage. Asita should be situated. Mat Paraha, in relationship with me. So Yukta Asita Mat Para. This is the full translation. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fix his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So Yukta Asita Mat Para means one who is completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the highest conception of yoga, that the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness, is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. So here in this verse, actually, Srila Prabhupada in his purport, in length, actually, he was quoting the verses describing Ambarish Maharaj. Again, he's talking about Ambarish Maharaj. He started from Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayar Vacham Sivai Kunta Gunanu Varnani and so on. And this is the last two verses. Very interesting. I put them together because these two verses, they are connected. So Yayato Visayam Punsa. So the first thing is that how one falls down. This is actually 8 stages of falling down. The first thing is that the ayato visayan punsa means contemplating to the sense object, and then when we contemplate to the sense object, it is natural attachment. Sang ayato visayan punsa sangastesu upajayate. So sangha means attachment. So when we contemplate some sense object in our mind, so we become attached to it, and then from attachment, what is that? Jayatu visan pungsa, sangaste supajayate, sangat sanjayate kama. So from attachment, kama, last is arises. So first we think, and then we become attached, and then last will develop. Kamat krodo bijayate. And the next one is that when our lust is unfulfilled, then anger arises. When the lust unfulfilled, anger arises. Krodad bhavati samoha. So samoha means delusion. So when one is angry, so he's put into illusion. Sometimes, therefore, Chanakya Pandit mentioned that don't take seriously the word of those who are angry, because when we are angry, we can say whatever bad words that we want, because we are angry, we are uncontrolled. So krodat bhavati samoha, one becomes delusion, put into illusion, so we don't know what we are talking when we are angry. Samoha smriti vibrahma. Smriti vibrahma means smriti means memory. So the memory becomes bewildered. So illusion, and then our memory becomes bewildered. Smriti vibrahma. Smriti brahmsad buddhi naso. So when the memory is bewildered, buddhi naso means our intelligence is lost. And then buddhi nasa pranashyati. So we fall down, pranashyati. We fall down again to this material pool. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport to the text number 62 mentioned one who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desires while contemplating the objects of the senses. Senses require real engagement, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. Well, it is a fact because it is the very nature of the senses to be active. So there are only two choices: service to Krishna or service to Maya. If we don't serve Krishna, then we will serve Maya. So that's the end of this presentation. Wow, we completed less than an hour. So, Vishnu Chitta Prabhu, you would like to share your experience regarding the Param Drishtva Nivartate to inspire all of us here to become more serious devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll just share it. I don't know what will be the result of doing that.
Please.
So, um, at least two instances I experienced
Mm-hmm.
was one is just that Krishna consciousness by nature, I mean, of course, encourages us to come to the transcendental platform. But before that, many of the practices that we take in Krishna consciousness are in the mode of goodness, like the food that we eat. It's not too spicy, not too salty, not too oily. So like that, and I remember before I came to Krishna consciousness, I used to like very spicy food, very spicy food. Then after coming to Krishna consciousness in the Brahmacharya ashram, have very simple sattvic, nice Krishna conscious prasadam. So my first time when I had experienced when I had gone back to my house for visiting my parents, my mom thinking that I like spicy food, she prepared very spicy food. I offered, it was prasadam, but I could not eat it. And she was very disturbed. Why you don't like? But I said I'm not able to eat this. I'm not able to relish it. And then, anyways, I ate it, and then I had so much stomach problem. So, um, and I used to also used to like hearing traditional Carnatic music, which is very melodious, very sweet, but at the same time, it's mostly towards demigods.
Mm.
And I used to think there is nothing sweeter than this. And
Yeah.
but when after I started hearing kirtans, I lost complete taste for that music.
Mm.
And also with friends and family, we used to, I mean, very attached to family. But after gaining association of devotees, you become you are. I mean, I can't say we're completely free from attachment of family, but at least the attachment to devotees is greater. You go to house for 1 week. After 1 week, okay, I want to go back to the ashram.
Yeah.
It's enough too much. But in the ashram, you don't feel like that. You don't feel enough devotee association. Too much.
Yeah. Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. Uh, my experience also same, like attachment to the family, especially. I was too attached with my mother, especially. But once I joined the ashram, so I don't find it. Uh, well, I don't want to say that my family is not important anymore, but that's kind of a transformation within the heart, because we know the fact that okay, it's just material concept of life. She's my mother, I am her son. Of course, I have to do whatever I supposed to do and deal properly with my family members. But like as much as family and tradition are concerned, like for me now that is not the priority. But before joining ashram, like I'm too attached with our tradition, family tradition, because in Indonesia, the Balinese, we have, very thick culture, I would say like that, and the family traditions very, very, elaborate. You must do this, you must do that in this certain day, like this, kind of karma kanda ritual. And I was too attached with that before I joined ashram. But once I joined the ashram, so I didn't find it like very important. Even now I'm away from my family already, like since 2012. That means like 8 years now, and I don't feel like great pangs of separation with them. Yeah, it's natural because we know the reality first of all, and yeah, the taste of associating with the devotees is much more relishable than simply mingling with the non-devotees. Well, but if our family is devotee, so that's maybe a different story. Okay. Um, whether any question or comments or anybody would like to share your experience regarding the Param Dristvani Vartate, you are allowed before I close this session. Okay, if there is no more things to be discussed, I thank you very much for your time attending our today's class. Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhya Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Panebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.